Costa Asfalto.
Peace, power, and harmony. My name is Mosiah Fit, and I am the organizer of the Universal Assemble for the United States of Africa Coalition. Today is our first public address concerning what many are anticipating to be the next Million Man March movement. Brothers and sisters, friends and enemies, today, January 21st, the day that MLK Jr.'s life is recognized, we, the UAUSOA Coalition, would like to honor Dr. King's life by leading a movement that will carry on his mission along with other freedom fighters who had common missions, as in Harriet Tubman, Madam C.J. Walker, Booker T. Washington, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Malcolm X, and so many more. And what was their commonality? Solidarity and self-governance. That is what we as a coalition are pushing for. Solidarity and self-governance. Solidarity is unity amongst those with a common interest. We realize that we all have a common interest, which is black power and black unity. And the second, which is self-governance. We realize that we are integrated with cultures and customs that do not benefit our people. Integration was the worst thing to have happened to the descendants of Africans and indigenous natives, because it caused us to forfeit our very own morals, traditions, and customs that develop more peaceful human beings than the destructive, lost people that we see today. Today we welcome all other coalitions, entities, organizations, clubs, and individuals who are sick and tired of being sick and tired of the state of our people within America and across the African diaspora. We realize that we are in a different era today. We are in an era where the transparent issues of our people in the 60s are now disguised to be less of an issue today. When the truth is, things are worse, and these are the facts. In 1985, 60 black-owned banks were providing financial services to their communities. Today, just 23 remain. In 11 states that headquartered black-owned banks in 1994, not a single one is still in business. Of the 50 black-owned insurance companies that operated during the 1980s, today just 2 remain. Here in Baltimore, the level of violent crime is much higher than the national average. From year 2000 to 2014, the homicides were averaging anywhere between 190 to 280. Then in year 2015, we hit the all-time highest homicide rate of 342 homicides, and it hasn't dropped below 300 ever since. Things are getting worse, and if you think they're getting better, then you too are part of the problem. So we figured out a solution, and that solution is UNITY. And what does that say, family? What does that spell?
Unity.
What does that spell?
Unity.
Unity. We realize that we have thousands of so-called grassroots organizations, agendas, and movements throughout the world, but the problem is there is no collective agenda that benefits us all. we present to you an agenda for all people of color. And it is called the RBG, or the red, black, and green, which is the flag that you see behind us, human flag. Never has it been created or recorded. And we invite you to join us in assembling the first RBG human flag here in Baltimore City, Maryland, on August 17th, which is Marcus Garvey's birthday, at Harlem Park Square. The RBG flag, which is the only flag that acknowledges the black man and woman's greatness. What is our motto? Acknowledging the black man and woman's greatness. Acknowledging our greatness. What is the motto? Acknowledging our greatness. What is the motto? Acknowledging our greatness. Has a strong legacy behind it. Most of us, as black people, have lost connection to our ancestors. Marcus Garvey, who created the RBG flag in America in 1920, realized this truth. A song made by racists in 1900 called Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon, and the coon was referring to you and I, so-called black people. Marcus Garvey set the record straight by creating this flag that's behind us in defense of our people's history, sacrifice, and self-worth. Every black family or individual within the USA should have this flag waving on their front porch or placed as a sticker on their car bumper. This flag was created for you, and I will allow Brother Suzufi to give a brief but thorough history on the making of this flag and the main contributors behind it. After Brother Suzufi, we will have Elder Charlie Duggar come speak. Brother Suzufi, please come to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to first open up by saying that I consider myself to be a student of history, not necessarily an expert, but I'm grateful to have this opportunity to say a couple words about Garvey and about the red, black, and green flag. I recall from my personal life the impact that it had on us when we were younger. When that flag was presented to us, it gave us a sense of identity. It gave us knowledge of the fact that we do belong to a people, and that those colors meant something. The red stood for the blood of our people, and the black stood for the red stood for the blood, and the black stood for the people, and the green stood for the land. But first, I want to talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey himself and what it was that he went through. As a person, he was born in Jamaica, and as he grew up in life, he began to notice certain types of things, that race was a serious issue in the community. At first, he was a child, just like these folks on my right and on my left. And as he was growing up, there were whites in his community. And one of the first things that he encountered as a young person, he had a white friend. And this white friend was a lady friend. And she hit about 13 years old. And her father said to her, sent her away to school and said, "You're not to never to talk to this guy again. And you can't be friends with this guy again because this guy was a nigger." And that was the first thing that Garvey had run into, where he knew and found out that race had an importance in the land, and that it was of negative impact, he found. And he wondered why, So as he studied, he eventually ran into a book that he had read by a gentleman named Booker T. Washington, and it was called Up From Slavery. And after he read that book, and Up From Slavery, what he did was he recognized that there was an issue, that this issue with race was a total global issue. It wasn't just an issue in Jamaica where he was living at and what have you. It was a global issue. And so he began to ask certain types of questions like, where's our flag? Where is our kingdom? Where are our kings and queens? And where are our people of significant affairs? Where are our men of great affairs that we can come to and talk to about these types of issues? And then what he did from that was he committed his life to the idea of building these things up and providing these things to our people that our people did not have. And one major thing was he noticed that we did not have that flag. So he did some research and he came up with those colors for us and presented those colors to us. And as the organization grew, it eventually became known, these colors became known as our colors around the planet. When the UNIA had hit its peak, there were about 500 different chapters of the UNIA, and they were in about 25 different countries. And so this flag wound up being all over the place and was a symbol for us as a people. He did many other things too. The flag was that thing that gave us our identity, and it gave us something to be proud of. What was happening at that time was everything about us was negative. We were considered to be coons. We were considered to be low life. We were considered to be all negative things. What Garvey gave to us was was one of our early sets of pride that we could identify with coming up and out from slavery. These things we needed because everything was so negative that we didn't even want to be black. You know, we weren't proud of our nappy hair. We weren't proud of our dark skin. There were so many things that we were ashamed of. And what Garvey did was he gave us things to be proud of. And also, too, he reached out to try to establish some economic base. When he formed the Negro Factories Corporation, the purpose of that was to begin to answer some of the economic problems that we were having. Okay, and then he eventually wound up forming a Black Star Line. And within a short period of time, when he opened up and started selling stock for that Black Star Line, like within a couple of months, black people had accumulated enough money from us putting our little dollars together to purchase a ship for that Black Star Line. And this ship was another one of those symbols that gave us a lot to be proud of. It was a symbol of the economic power that we should have as a people, you know. And so he gave us these things that we could identify with and be proud of. And I want to keep my focus on the flag for right now because for us, that is what the topic was that I was supposed to discuss. So, as a people, one of the things that the slave-making and breaking process did to us was it stripped us of all knowledge of ourselves, and it stripped us of everything positive about ourselves. And so what the flag does in current times, it gave us an identity of us having a nation now. Instead of us being a bunch of individuals who want to be a part of somebody else's country or want to have citizenship in somebody else's country, what Garvey gave us pride and an identity and a desire for us to have a nation and a homeland of our own. This is extremely critical. And then Garvey also took and tied us and the flag and our people back to our original homeland, which was Africa. And it gave us a vision moving forward that this could be our economic base, that we could be able to build, and we could build our civilization off of the way we had done in the past. And as long as we move around and act like individuals, we will never become unified and be able to do those things that we need to do to provide those things that our people consume, for us to build the factories, for us to build the technology and the knowledge base and the philosophy to enable us to be able to be one united people around the planet. You know, as little as it is known, and we were the original people of the earth. We were the original people that were spreading civilization around the planet and were teaching people in the civilized manner about philosophy and agriculture and planting and harvesting. And we were building temples and pyramids and tombs all around this planet before we wound up running into the situation that wound up causing our people when Egypt fell and Nubia fell. It caused northern Africa to fall, and eventually the rest of our civilizations wound up falling to military defeat. And we still have not gotten up from that yet. Garvey represents us coming back together as that people, and that red, black, and green is that symbol.
He represents the Arch Social Club, and he is a part of the Lecture and History Committee of the UAUSOA Coalition. These are notes. Up next, we have Sister Ashley Bacon. She'll introduce herself and the organization that she represents, and she is actually the creator of our motto.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Ashley Bacon, and I am responsible for our motto, Acknowledging Our Greatness. And also a part of the fundraising and promotion committee. So today's speech
address the RBG Human Flag Day motto, acknowledge our greatness and what this message means to us. So Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, George Washington Carver.
They were all great melanated men. Beethoven was also a great melanated man. Abraham Lincoln, assassinated because of his roots as a melanated man. The Queen of England in rulership by the honor of her melanated roots. Akhenaten, the crucifixion Jesus Christ, Yeshua, the Messiah, a melanated man. Maya Angelou, Sarah Good, the Virgin Mary, Nefertiti are all also melanated women, queens. The Moors that ruled Spain and Europe in 700 AD, the Nagas of India, the great Akhenaten and Nefertiti reign, the great kings and queens of ancient Nubia, pre-dynastic Egyptian kings of ancient Kemet, pharaohs of the upper and lower Nile River, architects of the great Giza pyramids, the Sphinx, to the very architect of the Capitol, our DC, constructed by Benjamin Banneker, also known as Ben Bey, a great melanated man. According to Anthony Browder, The Mysteries of Melanin, melanin is the substance responsible for our existence. So it exists in the universe as well as all forms of nature. So it is a healer and an organizer of many body functions. Also, the growth of the developing fetus. So in metaphysics, anyone who is familiar with metaphysics, it's known that melanin has the potential to transform solar energy, electromagnetic energy, electricity, microwaves, music and sound waves, and the kinetic energy, which is pretty much energy that we usually derive from eating food. But it's through melanin, you're able to achieve that energy without the need to eat. So melanin is also found within the bodies of the people of color. So the darker your skin tone is, the more melanin that you have. And we see the darker skinned people near the equator, where sunlight is in abundance throughout the year, from here to Africa, Asia, India, South America, to the Middle East as well. So it was a fun fact that it wasn't until over 100,000 years ago that the skin tone began to change. So that means that the vast majority of our existence, we existed as human beings of dark skin tone. So we know this, but yet, all around the world, all over, people of darker skin color are depicted as ruthless people, ignorant, not capable of governing ourselves, inferior. So how can this be when we clearly see that the unacknowledged descendants of the great empires of modern science and technology, the things that our today's society has yet to replicate, let alone understand, we are the descendants of that. Aboriginal peoples. So this is what acknowledging our greatness means to me. It's a call to begin the debunking of stereotypes worldwide that have defined the deep-rooted melanated peoples across the globe as inferior, savages, less than, when the very Aboriginal greats that are honored and well-respected, whose belongings reside in today's Smithsonian, the Louvre, and other well-known museums, whose life works and ancient old reigns form the basics of modern scientific and historical awe, whose today's philosophy is structured on, we're also deep melanated people of color. So we're here today to say, yes, it does matter that the people of the entire earth have respected and held high, have been depicted and presented to the world in whitewashed pictures and movies. It does matter. Because through these things, our dark-skinned melanated youth cannot see themselves as descendants of these people. So this matters to us. A half-truth is still a lie, and freedom is a result of consciousness of a greater truth. We want freedom, and we are all in debt to our ancestors and a depth in which can only be resolved by living in full acknowledgement of our connection to them. The RBG Human Flag Day will be the beginning of our greatness, acknowledging these truths, and as an offering for the world to receive and take part in as well. Aretha Franklin, Tupac, Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Prince, Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Dick Gregory, Dr. Sadie, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Denzel Washington, Forrest Whitaker, Michael Eric Dixon, Louis Farrakhan, Obama, Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey. The greatness still exists today. It's still alive. So this is what RBG stands for. Reddish, dark-skinned, and olive-toned peoples united now as one nation of Aboriginal descendants of the world greats. So I'll end in introducing myself a little further. Who am I? I'm just a young woman, born and raised in Catonsville, Maryland, and a woman who, until my soulmate sparked the greatness in me to shine under his protection, survived a 5-year narcissistic abuse relationship. It took greatness to suffer that calamity and still manage to raise my 5 children on my own, work, and also educate myself and my children into the beautiful souls that we've grown to be today. So we now live by trusting this greatness, which has led us here to deliver this message to everybody. And I'm sure I can say and speak for everyone that we all have suffered great calamities as a nation, as a people, through slavery to now. To be able to stand here today to even speak this message and to honor and work and represent the RBG motto began from Marcus Garvey. So I'll just end this by saying that I speak in honor of one of the many great Peace for Freedom protectors, Dr. Martin Luther King, on his birthday today. And on behalf of my life partner and protector, Daryl Barber, my children, my family, our brother, Black Wolves leader, Messiah Fit, and the entire RBG Human Flag Day order with one message. And we encourage everyone to come to Harlem Park on August 17th, 2019, and witness the world. Witness Baltimore, the state of Maryland. Witness DC, a united America. Africa, India, Asia, and the surrounding nations begin to acknowledge our greatness. Thanks.
Thank you, Sister Ashley. Up next, we have Elder Charlie Duggar. Elder Charlie Duggar has been doing the Marcus Garvey parade here in Baltimore. This will be the 49th year, is that correct?
Not for the parade, but for the celebration.
For the celebration, the 49th year. That is amazing. So, Elder Charlie Duggar, if you would come to the mic and let us know more about it.
I'd like to say good morning to everyone and thank you for the opportunity to come and share and to be a part of our coalition of our upcoming August 17th wonderful activities to be prepared, being prepared. I became interested in Marcus Mosiah Garvey when I moved to Gilmore Street across from Harlem Park about 50 years ago. Brother Kojo and myself, after conversing for a time, felt a great need that we needed a celebration, and he made me more aware than I had been of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, so we began Garvey Day. This coming August 17th would indeed mark our 49th Marcus Garvey Day celebration. 48 of the years, if all goes well for this August 17th, would be in Harlem Park. Only 1 year did we use Drew Hill Park. You know, on such a cold, bitter day as today, I was sitting here thinking about Harriet Tubman also, because it is said that Harriet Tubman chose the winter time as the time to free our people, because it got dark earlier. And also, she also chose weekends because a slave could get a pass and maybe not be detected as having escaped for a couple of days. So as I walked and parked at Cary and Cumberland and went through the sad, large number of our people seeking madness and sadness instead of gladness, I thought about the perseverance of our people and the Imani faith of our people, that on a cold day they might have decided down in Mississippi they were going to escape and go all the way perhaps to Canada, because as we saw in 12 Years a Slave, even New York wasn't safe. So that should be inspirational to us as we sit amongst one another today in love and unity to prepare to have a wonderful celebration this summer. Marcus Garvey loved, if we study him, he loved the costumes. He wore different ones. He loved by that to attract and get our attention. He loved demonstrations to attract and get our attention. And we need to do that today. We see that drugs have attracted and gotten too much of our attention, or vanity has attracted and gotten too much of our attention. So we have to, again, focus on a brother who became so inspired by Booker T. Washington that he left Jamaica to come to the United States to find Booker T. Washington and to find him already dead. He didn't become disillusioned, we're told, and decide, well, Booker T is dead, I don't know what I might do. He decided to create in time the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And to the best of my knowledge, even to this day, it's the largest mass movement of black people still recorded in the world. You understand? And of course, the powers that be, even a J. Edgar Hoover, who was just beginning to evolve at that time, the same Hoover that, is a menace to Malcolm X and to Martin Luther King Jr., who today is King Day. You understand? But he endured and persevered. What happened then, we are told, just what happens too much now, is that there were too many of us, as Brother Mosiah spoke about earlier, worrying about unity. Wouldn't it have been wonderful if Du Bois could have been more in unity with Garvey and vice versa? Wouldn't it have been something? You see, so it's just that kind of thing that we strive for, to try to be about unity. On King Day, I thought about, some of Dr. King's books. He had one called Stride Toward Freedom. Not wimp or, march in a slow or do a little pimp kind of walk, but stride toward freedom. The same kind of thing that a Garvey did when he showed us the proudness of standing up. Get up, like Bob Marley said, get up, stand up, don't give up. Get up, stand up for your rights, don't give up the fight. Then King had a book, Strength to Love. We know it takes strength for us to deal with the many dispositions and personalities of our people. If we're going to make this human flag be the great flag it can be, then we're going to have strength to love and go through all the whys. It's not going to be what it could be, and make it a beautiful celebration. He had one called Trumpet of Conscience, Dr. King. That in our minds, in our hearts, something's got to go off to say, like Gil Scott-Heron said, no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And so we have to challenge our people to do more than to be cynical and sarcastic about our plight, but get up and do something. Like James Brown said, get on up. You understand? Then King had a book, Why We Can't Wait. That's what Garvey showed us when he came in, so Booker T had already transitioned. He said, no, our people can't wait. So he came up with symbolism, you understand, which is very important. Those intangible things. Up, you mighty race. Accomplish what you will, letting us know we have that willpower. One God, one aim, one destiny. Let's keep them focused. When we count in Swahili, our first word is moja, and then that means one, and then we take that word and become in Kwanzaa, which Brother Karenka, umoja, oneness or unity. So, that's what he was saying to us, you understand, that we can't wait. And then the last book the King wrote that relates definitely to Garvey is Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. He was talking about in 1968 when the book came out after King had died. But King is talking about in the book that in Newark it erupted in 1967 with a lot of our people killed because of the civil disorder after police had killed someone. And then later in August 1967 in Detroit, particularly as John Hershey wrote in his book, The Algiers Motel Incident, tells us about how wicked the police were then, of course we know still are today. So we know as we gather here today that we can't wait. And that we know to the best of our ability that we are coming forward to our people to challenge us. Let's come together. And so by the time our human flag celebration, culminates, we're going to be greater than we are now. You understand? And we have to strive for and stride and maintain that. I like to close with something I do with the youth a lot of time. We say enough of the jive. We're thankful to be alive. We have to do more than survive. We got to strive and thrive. You see, and that's what we have to be about, striving. Now, what you doing, brother? Oh, I'm just making it. A lot of times we're not making anything. What you doing, brother? Oh, I'm just surviving. And we're not really trying to do much in the way of survival. But if we decide that we want to strive and thrive, that we've gone past the doubts and making unity and progress our theme and motto. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elder Duggar. Appreciate that. See, the beauty about what we're doing is so many different organizations up here, but we are collectively coming together and focusing on one cause. And that's what makes this so amazing. So next, we want to have an address on elder participation. Grandma Edna was actually supposed to be here today, but she had some little health mishap, so she's fine. She's just resting up right now. But she actually asked me to read this on her behalf. So she says, Grandma Edna says, we the elders must stay absolutely attached to our children, still in America's diaspora. We must stand confirmed to the rebirthing and reteaching of a nation of people anchored so far from our homeland, still drowning in the oceans of unconsciousness, profiling our children to a false sense of despair. We as elders must raise up the new village of hope. We must raise up. She says, thank you, blessings for an awesome, great day of beginnings. Just remember, a broken vessel cannot carry water back to the village. Ashe. Mr. Leo Barrows, could you also give a further address on the importance of elders being involved in this movement?
Good morning, everybody. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Let us understand that we learn from our elders and we learn from our youth. Amen. Those of us who are elders understand that we have an obligation to be sensitive to the needs of our children, families, and community. And they, in turn, must understand that they have to have the patience and the love to keep their arms around us, because God has blessed the older folks to live longer. There's something divine about all that. Yes. Let us live longer, and so we can share some experiences. And if we understand history, we will not repeat the mistakes of the past. We will build on the past. Yes. And so for those persons who say that I don't like no history, I've heard some students say that in school. I ain't interested in no history. I'm living now. Well, you're standing on the shoulders of your parents, your teachers, your leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle to be a liberated people. And when we look at America today, when we look at our people throughout the diaspora, African people, we understand that we are more challenged now than we've ever been. We have the technology that we love and embrace, and it is being used in ways to destroy us if we allow it to be used in that way. And so we must control that technology, because we have a madman in the White House. We've got billionaires, very rich people, who are Democrats and Republicans. And they couldn't give a darn about the shutdown of the government. In fact, they want to destroy the government. They want to destroy us. The New World Order. So by any means necessary, We must protect and defend our children, families, and community.
Yes.
And however difficult it is to find unity, we better keep our faith, our hand in God's hand, and we will and we shall overcome.
Yes.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Even in Baltimore, we shall not be moved. Even in Baltimore, we shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Fighting injustice, we shall not be moved. Fighting injustice, we shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yes.
That's Mr. Leo Burrows of the Roots of Scouting, 501c3. He is also a part of the, what committee are you a part of?
Red, black, and green.
I mean,
Human flag. You are the chairman of the camping committee of Roots of Scouting.
no, I mean within the Red, Black, and Green Coalition.
I'm the director of volunteer recruitment.
That's right. He's the director of volunteer recruitment within the Red, Black, and Green Human Flag. So next we have the youth perspective. We have coming up Cameron Henson of the Black Wolves. Actually, he's a master commander, getting ready to be promoted to master commander because he's 15 now. But he's going to come up and give his address to the youth.
All right, so I will be talking about how children like me and him should be together to join in this flag. So we represent this flag. It represents us. We are the children that should be here. We are the children with the red blood. We are the children with the black melanin. And we are the children that's surrounded by the green that represents that flag.
Yes.
That's my stuff.
So next, I'm going to allow Sister here. Can you come up and share something about what you do, and then let us know your support in the human flag, the red, black, and green human flag.
Greetings. I represent a few different organizations, but my name is Anokwale Anansi Simpo. I'm the president of the Griot Circle of Maryland, which is a chapter of the National Association of Black Storytellers. And our main mission statement is to keep the African oral tradition. And as storytellers or griots, which we prefer to be called, we are the culture keepers. So history, the elder that spoke before me, history is so important. I am a trained historian, and my specialty is in the African diaspora in America. And I work on a former slave plantation right in Towson, Maryland, right down the street from the mall. So I challenge all those who are present and all those who are viewing to come to Hampton National Historic Site once we open Because right now I don't have a job because of the government shutdown. So I'm one of the people who have been affected by that. But so many of us don't want to talk, and I'm saying us. I mean, unfortunately, the people who come to hear me speak and who ask me to speak throughout the region are people of European descent. And many of us don't even want to know our history. We have to know our history. I've never heard one of my Jewish brothers and sisters say, I don't want to hear about that Holocaust, which only lasts 4 years. Try 400 years for us.
Amen. Teach.
So, you need to learn about your history so that way you'll know why the things are going on the way they are right now. Institutional racism is systemic, and that's why most of us, and my son included, I fear when even women walk down the street, and even I, a law-abiding citizen, when I see those lights in my rearview mirror, I get a sickening, just gut-wrenching feeling, because I don't know what's going to happen when he pulls me to the side.
That's right.
So we need to get out, and me included, because one thing about Agent Orange, I won't utter his name, but one thing that he did, his election did evoke this sense of activism, because had Ms. Clinton won, we still would have remained in that lull of complacency. So this has awakened many people. And do what you can. Not all of us can march, and not all of us should march, but we need to change laws. Marching is one thing, but we need to get, which this midterm election did bring a record number of women of African descent in positions that will help change the laws, but this is just the beginning. We need to keep on keeping on.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
So up next, I want to bring Patrick Henderson to the mic. Patrick, if you can just talk a little bit about what it is that you do, and also your support to this RBG human flag that's going to take place on August 17th of this year.
Thank you to Messiah, and thanks to all of you who are here this morning. I was supposed to just pick up Mr. Burrows to get him over to our show that's going to be airing at 11:30 on WOLB 1010, Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. And I thought, well, I'll try to get here a little earlier because I wanted to see what was going on. And you know, God has a way of doing things that we sometimes are not aware of. I know everybody can say amen to that. And to come in here and to hear this, to hear these voices that are crying out in the wilderness for our people. I was listening and reading this morning on Dr. King. And the one thing that he said, many things that have struck me and have altered my life. But he talked about, as the lady just said, we can march. We can do all of these wonderful things that are outward appearances and outward reactions to things that are going on. But the way to change the system is through legislation. Legislation. But we cannot have legislation if we have to go to Annapolis and we only have 2 or 3 people to show up for that, because believe it or not, when they see bodies, it puts a fear into them because they realize that you are not coming alone. We must, in this city of Baltimore, stand up against the systemic racism that is pervasive, that is everywhere. I can't tell you to think that we have public schools where our children can't go get a drink of water because the pipes are filled with lead. Do they have that over in Roland Park? Can those kids go get water? Can they drink from their fountains? We pay taxes. I have a little house, 1,400 square feet. I'm paying $5,000 a year in property taxes. I moved here from California, and I didn't pay that much in California for a property tax. We are being taxed, and we are not being represented. Look at the HBCU situations. The courts ruled in our favor again, and still the governor is recalcitrant and not doing what he should be doing. Look at, they just said in the paper the other day that the school board has been not properly funded, and to the tune of over $300 million. So that's the reason our schools don't have heating systems. That's the reason our schools don't have air conditioning. That's the reason our schools don't have the proper tools they need to educate our children. So it's time, Baltimore. But I have to say this, I would be just not right if I didn't mention the fact that we need to, as families, as black people, stop letting anything get in the way of us, and let nothing separate us from the color of our skin. White people got a way. One thing about, long as you white, you right. Our people, we look for flaws in each other. This one's this one's that, and that's all residual effects of enslavement. And we must remember the tricks that have been played on us through religion, through dogma, through old wives' tales. If you are black, we must be one. Black people invented civilization. And if you don't know that, and your children don't know that, then they are not validated. And until we understand that it starts at home, and our children are not our property, they are our blessings. And we must love them and treasure them and invest in them and stop treating them as though they're a piece of property. They're just little adults in training. We've got to think, people. We've got to come out of this malaise, this cloud, this unconsciousness of who we are as a collective. When we start to understand that and start to realize that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. I believe in God, but I don't believe in the God of all this dogma. I believe in the God of possibilities. Because over the past 400 years, if it wouldn't have been for possibilities, I tell you, I just don't know where we would be right now. We keep fighting and we keep struggling. But the one thing that is missing is unity. I would like to salute every one of these leaders here today because they're fighting the same battle. Amen. We come together as one. Amen. For the unification of our people. God bless you and thank you for this opportunity.
Amen.
Patrick, when is your radio show?
It's Patrick Henderson's Meet the People.
Patrick Henderson's Meet the People
on WOLB.
WOLB 1010.
Every Sunday at 3:30.
Every Sunday at 3:30.
And every Monday at 11:30.
And every Monday at 11:30. Up next, I want to give a very special thank you to our video production committee, which is run by Brother Sharif, and he has the Welcome to My Hood Productions. The brother does amazing work in our community, getting exposure and coverage, actually even getting us on local TV. So I would actually like, if it's possible for him to come up here and give his input on video production, how he's using it to uplift our people, and incorporate it within the RBG human flag.
Morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. My name is Sharif Kwamwe. I have a TV show on Public Access TV, and this will be another TV show that I will be adding to the schedule. And the production is to get through to the people who are normally not inclined to see things like this because they don't have that input to know where to go. So I will be their eyes and their ears producing this and promoting this and showing it to those who won't necessarily get to hear or get to where we're going to be, so they'll be able to see us visually. I thank y'all.
Thank you.
Brother Ishakara Hannibal, did you have something you wanted to say? All right. So we're going to actually close this off with our promotion committee, event promotions committee. This brother Kenneth Moore, he's going to introduce himself and his organization, and we're going to close off. He's going to give you some updates, how to actually purchase the tickets, and how to follow us on social media.
Good morning, family. How's everybody doing today? Aru. So what I want to say, when you think about this Coalition, even the name bespeaks what we're about. Universal Assemble, what does that mean? Coming together for the united unity. So we're coming together for unity. States of Africa, the diaspora. So this is the coming together in unity of the diaspora. So when you hear that, that means we're talking to you. So when we put this RBG flag, human flag together, that's what it's about. But then you also think about our motto, acknowledge our greatness. That's at three different ways you can think about that. It's at one, a declaration, a directive, and a demand. As a declaration, that's us standing proudly saying that we will acknowledge our greatness. As a directive, that's us ensuring that those within our community are unaware of our greatness, then you need to know about the greatness that's within you. And as a demand, that's for anyone external to us to recognize that you will acknowledge our greatness. So on three fronts, we come together in unity, and we want you to make your first step in creating the history by, if you're so inclined, you can purchase a ticket online right now, because we do need the financial support. We have a financial committee that's committed to making this happen. This is about us coming together and pooling our resources, our talents, our time, our love of ourselves and our community to make this happen. So the red, black, and green flag at Baltimore City, Maryland, the tickets are only $5 for adults and $2 for children. And that's on Eventbrite. So again, you can search the red, black, and green human flag of Baltimore City on Eventbrite, and you can see the tickets that are $5 for adults and $2 for children. So we really need your support in helping us make this happen. You can also follow us on Facebook if you search Universal Assemble for the United States of Africa, Baltimore. Again, on Facebook, you can find us at Universal Assemble for the United States of Africa, Baltimore. Instagram, it's the short acronym, UAUSOA. Again, on Instagram, you can find us at UAUSOA, and our email is, again, that acronym, UAUSOA@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing everybody at Harlem Park, August 17th. We're looking forward to making this a great event. This is both here in Baltimore, within the region, within the nation, and internationally. We're going to make this assemblage the Universal Assemble for the United States of Africa, a movement that will be great, and we'll look beyond this as we continue to acknowledge our greatness. Thank you.
So again, you can make your first step in creating history by purchasing your tickets online right now at eventbrite.com. Go to search the red, black, and green human flag at Baltimore City. Tickets are only $5 for adults, $2 for children. All right? We do have an international agenda as well, and national. So nationally, if you're in another state, and maybe you can't make it to Baltimore, but you'll be interested in actually forming it in your own state, reach out to us. Email us at uausoa@gmail.com. The idea of this is for this to be a yearly event with all of our predominantly black cities, counties, communities in the United States doing it every year. That's the plan of this. More to come, but we have to start first with the basic idea, and that's forming the human flag. A little bit of history. Every single year here in Baltimore, since 1914, 1916, to get the actual history. 1914 was the first American human flag done at Fort McHenry, and they had 16,609 students alone from Baltimore City Public Schools that actually formed this flag. So we want to beat that record with the red, black, and green flag, which means it's going to require a lot of participation, a lot of commitment, clear communication. So that's the history behind it. But it's time for the melanated man and woman to come out and show also that They have pride. They believe in their people. They believe in their future. Respect of your elders, respect of the legacy that has been left here for us, and to continue that legacy. That's what this is all about. We do have one more speaker. I'm going to allow Brother Daryl to come up to the mic, and he's going to share what it is that he does and his outlook on the red, black, and green human flag.
Thank you, Brother Messiah. My name is Daryl Barber, and I am a co-head with my Queen Ashley of the Positive Charge youth program, and I'm a social media specialist specializing in several different types of media and marketing online, and we're part of the fundraising committee and the media committee for the RGB Human Flag Day. And I just want to say that when I think of acknowledge our greatness, we also have to remember to acknowledge the greatness within each other. You know, we all have greatness within each other, and we all can acknowledge that within each other, especially our youth, you know, and the people that we stand beside today, you know. And I want to just say that we have to stop beating ourselves down and acknowledge each other for the great things that we do. So going forward, I just want to say to everybody that right here in the city, there are things that we have not acknowledged. Go out to your backyard, go to your museums, do some research, and find out about some of the things that we haven't acknowledged right here in the city. So for the RGB Human Flag Day, definitely come on out and support us. We'll be acknowledging greatness within across all boards, all cultures, all traditions, and we'll be talking about some things that a lot of you all didn't know. So continue to acknowledge the greatness within each other, your youth, and your elders. And I thank you.
So family, acknowledge our
Greatness.
Acknowledge our
Greatness.
Acknowledge our
Greatness.
We're going to acknowledge our greatness. We're going to do this. And for those that are just watching, those who don't believe, those who just think that this is just going to be one of those movements that's going to fold, we're going to show you. We're going to prove you. We're going to prove you wrong. We're going to prove you wrong and prove us right. This is going to happen. We need all people. We need our people there. We need to show out. We need America to recognize something. To recognize that what happened in the Million Man March in the 90s, that wasn't going to be the last time that our people came together to actually acknowledge our greatness. This is not the last time. We're going to continue it. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep moving by any means necessary. I root. I root.
I'm a root.
Costa Asfalto.